Hi guys, welcome to Bado-Dev channel. Today we will talk about using JSON data with SQL Server, and we will create some simple example queries to explain these concepts. Microsoft SQL Server since version 2016 provides some functions to manage JSON data. We will work with the following main functions. The ISJSON is the function that checks if the string passed as parameter contains a valid JSON content. The second one is the JSON value that extracts a scalar value from a JSON string. The third is the JSON query that extracts an array or object from a JSON string. And the last one is the JSON modify that updates the value of a property in a JSON string and returns the complete updated JSON string. Okay, now we can start using these functions and generating our example queries. So let's open our Management Studio. The first function that we are going to explain is the ISJSON. That is very easy because it returns 1 if the string passed as parameter contains a valid JSON. So for example, we can try to write select ISJSON JSON as example. In this case, we have a simple JSON with name, surname, date of birth, and an array of skills. Now, if we execute our function, it returns 1. For example, if we delete this character, the JSON is no more valid, and now our function will return 0. Now we can create a table where we will insert our JSON data, so we will be able to execute some queries on this data. We can create a very simple example with a table person with an ID integer, identity, and primary key field, and another field called data structure that will contain our JSON. And then we can insert 2 different records with the same JSON structure but with different data. For example, name Alan, surname Brown, and so on. Now we create this table and insert records, and then we execute a simple query. Okay, the next function that we can test is the JSON value function. It will allow us to extract a property from our JSON and show it as a field. For example, we can say select ID and JSON value. And here we need 2 parameters, the name of the field containing our JSON data and the name of the property that we want to extract. In this case, we try to extract the name property as name from testdatabase.dbo.person. Okay, let's execute it. And so now we can see that our results are Alan and Steve, that are the name properties of our 2 records. Next function is the JSON query that allows us to extract an array or an object from our JSON data. So we can write this query, select sample ID, JSON query that needs 2 parameters, data structure field, and here we can extract, for example, skills field that is an array from test.dbo.person. Skills is an array of strings that is contained into our JSON. And now we can see that the results are our skills array. The last one is the JSON modify that allows us to modify the JSON contained in our table. So we can write, for example, select JSON modify, and it needs 3 different parameters: the data structure field, the name of the JSON property that we want to modify, the name property, and the value that we want to set to our property. We can change the first row we can write, for example, John from test.dbo.person where ID equals to 1. Now we can add also this field, the initial value of data structure. The initial value was Alan for the property name, and now is John, but we modified only our resource set. But for example, if we want to add a value to the skills array, modify the skills property, we can write append, and we have to write the value, for example, Azure. So in this case, we can see that contains the skill property with Azure as value into the array. One of the common usages of this last function is to really update our table. So we can update test.dbo.person set data structure equals to JSON modify append Azure, where ID equals to 1. And then we can write our select from test.dbo.person. And so we can update our JSON, and with this query we can see that Azure has been added into the table data. Thank you very much for watching my video. I will post some new videos about more complex JSON data management in SQL Server soon. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on my Facebook page and on my blog, Bado-Dev.com. Have a nice day. Bye bye.